Hey, Shalom Aleichem. This is Vakar Makapashal and GMS Darling, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Chadash. Want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful elect, pushing his truth in all sincerity. Back again with another video, and I got this article here from WeOn, right, which is stating that America, the U.S. test fires Minuteman III doomsday nuclear missile from California amid Iran war. What is the Minuteman III? Right, so Esau is currently testing out his great sword, which is written in the scriptures, right? Which is his nuclear capabilities, his most lethal ammunitions in his arsenal, right? Since this war of Iran has started, obviously these men are preparing for different situations, right? And we know eventually, this war will turn nuclear, right? It will turn into a world war. This will be the third one, and eventually nuclear weapons are going to be shot, right? As much as people's disbelief, because they just think it's too crazy, too reckless, but you got to consider who you got in charge right now, of America, man. But it's not going to be America that's going to be doing the damage with this. Okay, funny enough, right? The Lord is going to have these weapons, okay, do damage to America, right? And that's the prophecy, right? This great sword has been set up as a trap, as a snare unto Esau himself, right? Because he's proud, because he has these weapons, right? Because he has this destructive capability, right? But this own pride is going to be turned around on him, right? Where he's going to, be felled by his own weapons, by his own might, so to speak, right? And this technology that he's allowed, or propagated throughout this earth, right? Because he's the one that brought this weapon into being, and he went and tested it on Japan, right? Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the whole world. Well, not the whole world. Not everybody can get their hands on these weapons or afford them or whatever. But it caused that other nations to have these weapons, right? In kind of in a response to all of that. All right, so we got these nuclear weapons all around the world with different nations that have them, right? Because of Esau, right? And Russia holds the most, I do believe, and the largest, and then the second to that is America, right? But we know America and Russia, they are gonna be brought face to face in a real war, right? Which is gonna end up in basically nuclear destruction of the land of America, as according to prophecy, right? So they're preparing for it, and so we're reading it here. So let's continue on with this article a little bit. Right, so the story highlights the U.S. fired the nuclear-capable Minuteman III ICBM from California as the Iran war entered day 6. Here's why the missile is called the Doomsday Weapon. Right, because it's saved for the end times. Right, the U.S. fired the nuclear-capable LGM-30G 30G Minuteman III intercontinental ballistic missile, also known as the Doomsday Missile, from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. The test comes as the war of Iran entered its 6th day. The Minuteman III is considered to be one of the most powerful missiles in the U.S. arsenal. According to officials, the test was to assess operational readiness of the land-based nuclear deterrent. It carried out tests for 2 test re-entry vehicles. All right. I'll read that. So the LGM-30G Minuteman III is a strategic weapon system that used an intercontinental range ballistic missile. They are usually stationed at silos and monitored by a control center across Montana, North Dakota, and Wyoming. These missiles are usually developed by Boeing, and each cost around $3.6 million. They have been in service since 1970 with the U.S. Army. The Minuteman III weighs around 37 kilos and has a diameter of 5.5 feet, a range up to 6,000 miles, and reaches around Mach 3 during burnout. The US have 400 such missiles located at various silos. The W-87 variant is capable of carrying a nuclear warhead, which is at least 20 times more powerful than the one dropped in Nagasaki, right? Because that's the level they're on now, right? The sheer scale of its destruction is magnanimous. Thus, the name Doomsday Minuteman III, along with, thus its name Doomsday, right? That's what they call it, Doomsday. Minuteman III, along with Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines armed with Trident II D5 missiles, B-52H Stratofortress, and B-2 Spirit bombers with missile systems like AGM-86B, air-launched cruise missiles from the strategic U.S. nuclear triad. All right, so they're doing these tests, because they might have to use them, right? Right, so Esau, make sure this is all publicized so people know that these men ain't playing around, because they got the nukes and they might use them. Trump's in charge, so they might use them, right? So it's all a bit of a, it's all for show and that kind of stuff, right? But the Mossad is gonna have these nukes appear in this war, right? They are gonna make their appearing, right? But they're gonna appear to destroy America, right? And we've seen certain movies like Terminator. Was it Terminator 3? No, Terminator 2. No, whichever one it is. Right at the end of the movie, you see them. Skynet just take hold of all the missiles in it, and they start shooting different places on the Earth. Right, America included. That's a great scene. I like that scene, but it's like the ending scene. And that's what he's talking about, these silos in these different states or whatever, right? That's where they hide in these missiles, and they come out of the ground and shit, and they start shooting them off and that. Well, you're gonna find that this is gonna add to your own destruction. All right, so starting here, Revelation chapter 6 and verse 4, and they went out another horse that was red, okay, which represents Esau, right? And power was given to him that sat there on to take peace from the earth, right? That's why the earth is always at war. That's why everyone is sick and dying, right? And that they should kill one another, right? All these wars, right? And there was given unto him a great sword, right? This great sword is these nuclear capabilities, these nuclear missiles. All right? That's what he holds over the whole earth, putting people in fear because, he's got the ability to wipe you off the map, basically. Right? In Isaiah 54, verse 16 says, behold, this is the Most High, right? Because although you created or you brought these missiles into the world, really it was the Heavenly Father that ordained you to do these things, basically. They gave you the know-how, via the left hand, right, to develop these weapons, right, for the Lord's purpose, right? So behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument of his work. And I have created the waster to destroy, right? So the Lord has all these scientists and engineers, right, that come up with all this shit, right, the Oppenheimers and all these dudes, right, to bring forth this instrument, right, for the Most High to use, right? You've had to, perfect your technology in that, right? So you've done all your tests and whatever. You dropped bombs on Japan to see what it did, and you know what it does. And now you got things that are 20 times more powerful than that and greater. So the Lord's have you develop this and and grow your arsenals, right, for the Most High's purpose in the last days, right? So he said that I have created the waster to destroy, right? Because that's what you are. You're the waster. Esau means waste is the way is heat. Right, so you are that waster. You are the one that is taking peace from the earth. You're the one that's been given the great sword because your blessing was to live by that sword, to live by warfare, to live by killing, right? And you've always been at like the forefront of warfare in terms of technology and stuff, right? The guns, you went over to the Americas, and you couldn't deal with the Gadites, right? Because they're actually mighty warriors, right? And so you developed the Gatling gun, because your muskets was shit. Man were doing one pop shot and then have to reload, and the man were getting caught slipping while they're reloading. So man got the Gatling gun and just started wiping out, the Gadites, the Native Americans, man. So you've always been at the forefront of weaponry and stuff like that, and you've been given this great sword that you hang over the world, to threaten people with, right? So that's that verse 16. So it's Jeremiah 50 verse 24. Right, I'm probably going to come back to Jeremiah later, right? But here in verse 24 it says, I have laid a snare for thee, okay, which is a trap. This is the Most High speaking again now. And thou art taken, O Babylon. Okay, Babylon represents America. And thou was not aware. Thou art found and also caught because thou hast striven against the Lord. Right, so the Lord has caught you in your own trap, right? That you've been making for yourself, right? Not to use against others. The Lord is going to have you fall in your own trap. The Lord have opened his armory. Right, so we just read that the Lord, created, the smith, right, to create these weapons. Well, this is part of the Lord's armory. The Lord have opened his armory and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation, right, his weapon of choosing, what he's going to use against you. And he's had you, build these weapons just so you can use against yourself, or they can be used against you, basically, right? For this is the work of the Lord God Yahweh of the host in the land of the Chaldeans. Right, come against her from the utmost border, open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left. Right, because America is going to be completely and utterly destroyed. Right, this like I said, as much as this is part of the agenda of the elites, right, to bring about their new world order. Really, this is only the Heavenly Father's plan to bring about the end of America and to bring the end of the rulership of Esau. Right, this is what this is all happening. So this is like a big mistake on Esau's half, going into the war of Iran. Right, because this is signaling the end for America. Right, but like I said, good for us. It's good for us, man. All right, prophecy being fulfilled. All right. Let's see. Let me read down to let me read down to 30, right? It says verse 27 says, slay all her bullocks, let them go down to the slaughter, or unto them, for their day is come in the time of their visitation. The voices did not flee and escape out of the land of Babylon to declare in Zion the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh our God, our power, the vengeance of his temple. Called together the archers against Babylon, right? These militaries, these nations against her, right? Archers, those able to shoot at her, right? They have the capabilities of shooting missiles, right? Because we're not in the age of bows and arrows anymore, right? But these are advanced or upgraded bows and arrows that these men have in the ways of these missiles, right? They're shot from long distances, right, to cause great damage. Okay. It says, call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow, all you that got that missile capability. Whether it's short range, medium range, long range, whatever missiles you got, those that have the capability of doing the damage. Right? It says, camp against it round about, let none of thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work. Right? Because we know that the work of America and Esau in general is dirty, man. Doing dirtiness around the whole earth. Wickedness. Right, so they're going to recompense her for all the trouble that they caused, all the evil they've done. Right, so recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done, do unto her. For she hath been proud against the Lord Yahweh, against the Holy One of Israel. Right, and that's what America's been. America is not the country of the Most High, or godly nation that fear the Most High, that follows His laws, such as commandments. They don't do none of that. That's why they got every religion under the sun there. And they allow it. It's part of their constitution, part of their law, right? That's against the Most High's law. So this is no godly nation, man. And we know, like I said, we know America's track record. We know Esau's track record. Britain's track record. We know all these Edomites and all the shit that they've been doing. Spain, all of them, right? They deserve destruction, and the Most High is going to bring it to them, right? But have you do all the hard work, right? So therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith the Lord. Right? So that's what the Lord's getting ready to do. This is Job chapter 20, verse 22. So in the fullness of his sufficiency, right? In the height of their pride, in the height of their ambition, in the height of their conquest, right? Because the elites are getting closer and closer every day to achieving their new world order. It's just that as they get close to completing it, right, the Most High is just going to interrupt. It's just going to interrupt and make it not happen. And it's just going to go terribly wrong. Terribly wrong for them. All right. So in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits, right? Which is in difficulty, man. Right. A real problematic situation. Every hand of the wicked, okay, which represents the nations, the people, basically, because the word there is workers, right? And Esau's basically, he's got these nations working for him in his kingdom, right? It says, every hand the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, okay, these missiles, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn and cometh out of the body. Okay, we were talking about the silos earlier in the article, right? That's what they're launched from. The missiles are launched from the silos, right? It is drawn and cometh out of the body, yea, the glittering sword, right? Because when it flies through the sky, it's like a bright light. But like, so what you may have seen, the images of the missiles that are going on back and forth in Iran and stuff like that, right? Iran shooting missiles and shit, and they look exactly what is described here, like shining swords, bright swords, arrows, or however you want to describe them. That's what they actually look like, right? So this is what it's describing. So it is drawn and cometh out the body, yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him. All darkness shall be hid in his secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him, right? It's the blast from these nuclear weapons, right? It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. The heaven shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him. And the increase of his house shall depart, and his goods shall flow away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion of a wicked man from the Most High, and the heritage appointed unto him by the Most High. Okay? This is Revelation chapter 17, verse 16. And then the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, okay, the beast represents NATO and the EU, i.e. America's allies, right? America is the head of NATO, as everybody should know, right? But the relationship between America and its allies in Europe, okay, are becoming very frayed, right? And, NATO is getting very sick and tired of how America is treating everybody, right? So they eventually most likely going to put the spirit on them to turn against them. Right, so this is what it's talking about. The 10 horns here is speaking about NATO and the EU, right? And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, right? Hate the whore being America, the whore that sitteth upon the beast, right? And clothed in scarlet. And make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire, right? Because these NATO nations have got missile capability and nuclear capabilities, right? And so they're going to turn against them and shoot their missiles on them. Right? And a lot of these missiles are American missiles. Right? I know they got, I think from what I remember, America's got its own nuclear weapons in Germany and things like that. And I'm sure other nations, they're holding American missiles and whatever. Right? So that's it. It's their own weapons that the Lord is going to use against them to destroy them, to bring them down. Right? So for God have put in their hearts to fulfill his will. And this is the thing. This is all the Most High's will. This is not your agenda. This is not your show. It's not going to end the way Esau wants it to end. It's going to end the way the Most High wants it to end, right? So for God to put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Okay, which is America. It's quite obvious. It's quite obvious, man. Right? There's a lot of people out there in denial, man. But it's America. Right? It's Isaiah 47 verse 1 says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Okay, again, America, right? Sit on the ground, there is no throne. Okay, there's no rulership or glory to be had, right? You're coming down and that's it, man. You're finished. So, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shall no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind mill, right? Uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the fire and pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen, right? You're going to be humiliated by the end of all of this. I will take vengeance and I will not meet thee as a man. When Yahushua, descends with the heavenly host, they're not going to be in a mortal state where you can harm the Lord. They're not going to be that, right? The angels are the angels. We want to know how they roll. Okay, they're spiritual beings, right? So you ain't going to do no harm to them. But Yahushua, isn't going to be the same guy that you put up on the cross, right? He's going to be coming in a different form in his glory, right? It says, as for our Redeemer, the Lord Yahweh of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms, right? You're not going to be admired and adored and looked upon like you're just the toppest kingdom, right? Because you're gonna go right down. Like America's gonna be on fire, right? So I was wroth with my people. I have polluted my inheritance and given them into thine hand, right? And that's why we serve slavery in the land of America, okay? And we will be oppressed in the land, in the Americas, man, right? Thou didst shew them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke, and thou hast said, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, right? You thought you were going to be on top forever. And that's how you behave, how you act. That's what you project. Like, you're just the mightiest. You hear Trump say it all the damn fucking time. So we overstating, America's greatness. Like, we can acknowledge America's, mighty and it's strong. We can acknowledge all of that. But you oversell the shit like way too much, and it's just like, it's laughable. Oh, we can we got enough ammunitions to run a war forever. No, you don't. You fucking idiots. No, you don't. You know what I mean? Like, all this shit is stupid. It's stupid and it's unbelievable, bro. It's unbelievable. But if you think that, man, you're truly deluded. Right? But they believe their hubris. They believe their arrogancy, man. They believe that it's nothing. But you have all problems. You're gonna have a whole heap of problems to deal with now. Right? In this war, right? So thou hast said that I should be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to heart. You didn't think nothing bad was going to happen to you. Neither didst thou remember the latter end of it. Right? Because the things are written aforetime are written throughout learning. You got the Bible in your hand. You're meant to be this great proponent of Christianity, but you got the Bible in your hand. You know what's happened to other empires prior to you for doing wickedness, right? Crazy stuff, right? You don't think you're going to end the same way. Like, this written all over the scriptures, what happens to a man that established a city by blood? I mean, that's how you got the land of America, right? So you should already know that this is not going to end well. America can't run forever. There's no way. No matter how mighty you get, no matter what weapons and technology you get, the Most High is going to destroy you at some point. That's what you should have kept in your mind, but you don't. You don't. All right? So therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. Yeah, we're the strongest nation by far. You just think you're so superior, bro. You're so fucking superior, but you're just so full of shit. Like, you're strong. Yeah, you're strong, fine. But the Most High going to make you weak. And he's going to embarrass you in front of the nations, man. It's coming, man. I can't wait. I can't wait, man. That dwelleth carelessly, that says in the heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. No one could touch me. No one's going to bring me down, bring me into mourning. Never that. Right? But it's coming. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. Right? They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries. Right? Because we know you deal heavily in witchcraft, man. You think you and your boy Epstein to be doing, And for the great abundance of thine enchantments, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, right? In all your evil work, because you had the strength, because the Most High was, gave you the power to. But you obviously was given power, and what you devil decide to do, or the wicked decide to, is abuse that power and do all kind of wickedness with that power, rather than do righteousness. But that's just not you. You're not made to do righteousness. That's why that's not what you've done. Right? This is why the Most High is going to destroy you eventually, right? For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. Right? Because you've been getting away with everything. Deceiving the people, lying to them. Feeding them with propaganda and shit. Right? You've just been massive deception. That's what you've been doing. Right? So you've been getting away with it and thinking it's going to remain like this. So that your wisdom and knowledge have perverted thee. Right? Thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth. Right? It's going to come as a shock. It's going to come all of a sudden, and you're going to be like, shit, what? How? And mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Right? So stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries wherein thou hast laboured from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Right? So if these things are all working for you, man, then it should work for you now, right? Well, it ain't gonna work. Right? So thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, and monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. And you got that fucking demon, that idiot Edomite, or the Paula something, Paula White, I don't know what the fucking name is, right? The spiritual advisor to Trump. And the brothers posted a video in the chat today. I'm like, what is this fucking idiot? It's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Just singing and repeating herself and just doing witchcraft, basically. She's trying to do witchcraft, man, but she's weak as hell, blood. Weak as hell, right? But these are the men you turn to. Oh, man, you're in trouble for real, right? There are weird, it's like 14. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them, right? Okay, the nuclear missiles, and plus the fire from the chariots, man, from the angels, right? So yeah, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame, right? All this shit ain't gonna work for you. You know, you got all these iron domes, golden domes, and all this shit. We got the missile defense system, the Patriot missile defense. You know, you got all this shit going on for you. But guess what? None of that's gonna help you. None of it's gonna help you, right? It said they shall be as stubble. That is like certainty, right? The fire shall burn them, certainly. They should not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There's no way to save you, to save yourself, to defend yourself. There's no way to defend yourself against it because the Most High is in control, right? They should not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There should not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter, none shall save thee. Right, so I ain't only gonna come and save you on your behalf either. Right? The Most High has got you in the crosshairs, man, and the Most High don't miss. Alright, so you're gonna be taken out. Okay? And just to finish this off, back in Jeremiah 50, verse 12 now, right? It says, your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed, right? And I said, these European nations, man, they're feeling a bit embarrassed right now, right? And abused even, right? You know, Britain, who America came out of, right? They like it's embarrassing, man, because they're being treated like shit. And they're meant to be close, you know, all this special relationship shit, meant to be close and stuff. Men are not even talking or telling man what they're doing, right? They're having to just be chained along and into things, roped in, you know. But like, it's not in the interest of them to be roped into some war with Iran. It's like, what do you mean? Like, you didn't discuss this with us. It's just bare contempt against them. So you know they're ashamed right now, right? So behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, i.e., America, a dry land and a desert. Right? Because of the wrath of the Lord, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Every one that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at all her plagues. Right? They're going to be shocked. Put yourselves in array against Babylon, round about, all ye that bend the bow. Right? So that's likened unto, well, I think it's actually in the same one down, right? You know, the Lord is rising up these nations against them, those that have the capability to do so, right? To shoot missiles at her, right? The Lord is gathering them together. It says, so put yourself in an array against Babylon, round about, all ye that bend the bow. Shoot at her, spare no arrows. So there's going to be a whole lot of arrows being shot at America, man. A whole lot of missiles, man, to destroy that place. You know? And warheads and all kinds of things, right? It's going to be a lot. So much so that the earth is going to shake to and fro like a drunkard. Right? The earth is going to, shake, rattle and roll, man. Causing all kinds of earthquakes and tsunamis, all kind of shit, right? Messing up the tectonic plates, all of that, right? So America is going to be, absolutely destroyed. So spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord. Shout against her round about, she hath given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down, for it is the vengeance of the Lord, right? This is the Lord's doing. The Lord's got a problem with America, man. But you think the Most High is with you. And he's not. He's against you. That's why you're going to ultimately lose. Right? For it is the vengeance of the Lord Yahweh. Take vengeance upon her as she hath done, do unto her. Cut off the sorrow from Babylon, and him that handeth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn everyone to his people, and they shall free everyone to his own land. All right? And that's all I want. All right? So, like I said, this is just a foreboding of things to come. What you do, right? They say, America's, getting their missiles ready, but don't worry, so is everybody else, right? Because the Most High is making them do it, basically, right? To use these missiles, these nuclear-capable missiles, right? Just that they think this is part of their defense, but no, it's part of their destruction, So, yeah, it's good. Because what you're going to do is put everybody on the same wavelength, right? By showing this and reporting on this, that you're testing out your nuclear capable missiles. Or you're going to put Russia in the mindset. You're going to put these other nations that got missiles in that same mindset, man. That they got to get these ready because, hey, America's thinking about using them. Well, you ain't the only one, right? Because the Most High got it in all these man's spirits to to be getting these ready, right? Getting these ready, man, for your destruction at the end of World War III. All right. So with that, I'm gonna say shalom, Lord, when this has been edifying, and I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Until then, I say shalom.